Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're going to be doing an interesting build for the god Geb. This is going to be pretty trolly build, so you might not want to use this in any serious type of play. I would stick with this build if you're playing amongst friends, or if you're playing maybe an arena match. Just be careful that if you do go with this build with Geb, you may get a lot of hate from the other teammates. They might get angry at you, but it's a lot of fun, and you know, I like the interesting idea of taking a god who probably has some of the worst basic attacks in the entire game and focusing on that. It's like doing the opposite of what you should do with Geb. It's almost like this build is the anti-Geb build. It's the complete opposite of how you should build this god, but that's why I think it's funny, and I think that it's something that you should definitely try out, because you're gonna see some footage at the end of this video, and it's pretty funny. It's just, you know, a goofy build, completely troll, but I would recommend that you try it out anyways, just to have some fun. So we're going to go into it. And again, as I said, this is going to be full attack speed Geb, and I'm not going to show you it just yet. But we're going to start off with actually a normal start. So early game, you're going to be fine. You're going to be having the same build as always, or at least the normal build that a lot of people go with. So we're going to go with Mark of the Vanguard, Boots 1. Then we're going to go into 2 mana, 2 health. Again, pretty standard, nothing out of the ordinary yet. And then after that, we're going to go into Boots of Focus. You could go into Traveler Shoes, which a lot of people are doing now. Because this is a cheaper item, it also gives you extra gold, and it helps if you're out of combat. So this is actually a great item for Geb. So you could go with Traveler Shoes. I'm going to go with Shoes of Focus because I think the little bit of cooldown that we get with that item will help him with this build, because there's not going to be any other cooldown. So again, he's not ability focused in this build, but his attack speed will be pretty insane. So after that, we're going to go into an item that actually isn't too out of the ordinary, but will give you a little bit more attack speed, some extra movement speed as well. And this is Witchblade. This is an item that you could absolutely use on almost any support anyways, without the focus of attack speed. So I think this is a good start for him. And so again, your early game will not be out of the ordinary, but then when you go into the next item, you might be, you know, if people are checking out your build, if they're hitting that tab button and they're seeing that you're building this next item, they might get a little upset at you, but it's okay, because we're having fun. And that's Telkhines Ring, and this is just going to give him a big, huge burst of attack speed and some extra magical power, and it will also allow his basic attacks to deal 35 additional magical damage to a target. So you're going to be getting into the mid game, and you're going to be starting to use your basic attack more. And I think even though this is kind of the antithesis of what Geb should be, this kind of build would work because he has an ultimate that will stun, and so that'll kind of allow him to play an assassin type role. It'll give him a little bit of time to use his attack speed to follow up on his ultimate with some basic attacks. He can also use his knock up to buy him some time and get a little bit closer. The only problem, I think, one of the big issues with this build, if you were to somehow take it seriously, is that his rollout, when he hits someone, he knocks him way back. So it's kind of not setting up his basic attack at all. So you have to be really careful with the rollout. I think if you kind of employ the strategy of using the rollout to maybe push them into a wall, or, you know, just to get him out of space, and don't really use it to set up your basic attacks, that's kind of a tricky part of this build. So be careful with the rollout. Again, you're going to be knocking them way back, so then you won't be able to use your basic attacks after. That's an issue that I found when I started to use this build. But we're already getting some attack speed, some extra magical power with this item, so that's going to be good. And then we're going to go right into Hastened Fatalis. This is going to make him extremely annoying, and you'll see that he's not being tanky at all now. The only health he has is from Witchblade, so you have to be really careful. Again, I would only use this in arena. You're going to get a lot of hate if you use this type of build in a conquest match. You could possibly use it if you somehow get Geb in Assault. I wouldn't use it in Siege either, although Geb in general wouldn't be a good Siege character. But in arena, you could have a lot of fun with this build, I think. And then after Hasten Fatalis, and oh, of course, if you didn't know, you get a movement speed debuff when you hit enemies with a basic attack. So again, you want to focus on the ultimate, setting up the basic attacks for this, and just kind of be a big tank, you know, big huge assassin kind of character with this build. So after Hastened Fatalis, we're just going to keep going, looking at these attack speed items, going into the Witchblade, and this is an interesting item because this actually will give you some physical protection, so that'll make him a little tankier, but you have to be careful using these items depending on what you play in a comp. So I put an asterisk near this item because if you're playing against a team with a lot of magical damage, and you don't want that physical protections, and you don't want to reduce the attack speed, you could replace it with Spear Robe. Spear Robe could be if it's like a mix, if there's a good mix between physical and magical. This will just give you those extra protections. You could also look at possibly Man of Discord if you really wanted to get some more protections on him because of this build lacks. But if there's a lot of magical damage instead of physical, you could also go into the Bulwark of Hope. Again, this gives you good magical protections, give you that extra bit of health, so this could be a good alternative. But I'm going to go into Witchblade, again, just for the extra attack speed, and this will slow your enemy's attack speed as well. So that will help them a little bit, maybe a little bit more utility with the build with this item. And then the last item, going to be more attack speed, Demonic Grip. This item is focused on reducing magical protection, so it's basically his form of penetration with this. And I think it'll be good late game because you get another big burst of magical power. So his abilities will be doing a whole lot of magical power with this build. But again, the basic attacks are the focus, and there it is. That's the builds. For Relics, you might want to go into Blink. That's kind of common with his ult anyways, but if you wanted to initiate better to set up his auto attacks, you might want to get Blink. Another one I think might be good with him would be either Sanctuary or Shell. This will just help him defensively, and Shell will help the rest of his team defensively as well. Especially if he goes in alts, he might need the Shell as a follow-up. So those might be good. And then I think another possible one would be Curse. If you really want to try to slow the enemies down so you can set up your basic attacks a little bit better, you might want to go with Curse. So that's what we'll do for the Relics. And that's the build. I'm going to show you some footage of it now so you can have a good laugh, so stick around. Alright, so here we go. We're going to start looking at the builds so you can see some footage of it. I was going to do an arena practice to get some actual gameplay footage, but it looks like they got rid of it, or you have to like do the tutorial for arena to get the practice. I'm not really sure what happened, but it looks like there's no more arena practice, so we're just going to go into the jungle practice and mess up this raw real quick, just so you can get a look at the attack speed, and I'm actually going to look at the stats so you can see. Wow. The attack speed is 2.34, which is almost at max, which is pretty ridiculous. And I think it'd be interesting to see if there's some kind of boots that you could use for attack speed. I don't think there are any magical boots that have attack speed, but it would be funny just to get that max number. But you can see all of his other stats are pretty weak. His magical power for support is actually really strong, so 135. That's more than most supports will get. But see, it's pretty skewed list of stats there. So with that, we'll see how we do with this raw. We'll take a look. I'm gonna go and I'll show the abilities too, so you can see how much damage from the abilities you're gonna be doing. So we'll blink in and ult. So the ult did 470, which is a lot. And you see the attack speed is just ridiculous. And again, this is a build you want to use in arena mostly, and you're probably going to be playing against people who are not going to take you very seriously, and it might mess you up, but it's still fun. And you can see that the Hastened Fatalis is going off, and his basic attacks are hitting for 79. So again, for a Geb, that's a lot, because he, like I said, he has probably the weakest basic attacks in the game, or at least one of the weakest. So I'll just give you some more footage so you can see it. And his 2 hit for something. I'm gonna have to do it again. I don't see it. But it's, again, pretty troll builds. Don't take it too seriously, but it's a lot of fun. Let's see what his 1 hits for. Well, his 1 will hit for more if you're farther away, but it hit for 250. His 2 hits for 307. So, you know, he does a lot of magical damage with this build, but his basic attacks are also going to be insane, as you can see. So that's it. That's the build. Have fun with it. And again, if you're playing against magical characters, you might want to replace the Witchblade with the Spirit Robe. But let me know what you think of it, and if you do play it, I hope you're having fun with it. And if you have any other builds that you'd like me to talk about, or some certain gods that you're interested in, please let me know. I would love to do some more like trolley type builds like this, just taking one characteristic and kind of making it ridiculous. I think that's funny. So with that, I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.